Vibras? Cause we know the Vibras.
Welcome back to another episode of the You Know the Vibras podcast. I'm the one and only Wanda Don, and as always, I'm accompanied by a new Michael Carrasco. He got some motivation from the last episode, man. My man finally is in the gym, going crazy, man. What's going on, bro? How was your first time back in the gym, man?
Well, it's gonna be actually my second time because I went with
second time.
Yeah, man. I went with one of my boys last week. Kind of like just kind of get back to it, and then today I just went ahead and just went to the gym, man. Feeling good. A little, that first like couple, that first. I know this upcoming week's gonna be rough just because it's first week back, but I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, and your body has to adapt to everything again.
Yep.
But it's like what I was saying in the last episode. Once you start seeing results and the gains and everything, it motivates you more. But like, what made you finally, after quite some time, get back into the gym and getting back on that journey, that fitness journey?
Yeah, man. I used to, like had to get back to like what I used to be doing, right? I always talk about it. I used to be a gym rat, so kind of like I gained a lot of weight, and it's time for me to lose it. And I'm only getting older, so I gotta start taking my health serious, uh, and start taking care of my body. Honestly, I think that was the main thing that pushed me to do it.
No, that's true. And it's definitely one of those things. And sorry, guys, we're not transitioning to be a fitness podcast, guys. But it's just, I feel like it's good to know when you're podcasters and the people that you watch here and the Vivas podcast, your fellow hosts,
right,
are doing great, and are bettering themselves. And as you see in the title, what we're going to talk about today is accountability, and we're going to get into that a little later. But it starts with like things like this, like investing in yourself and finding ways how you could better yourself, not only physically but also mentally,
right,
and in other ways as well. But apart from the gym, anything else new going on with you, or everything is still in?
I mean,
even waters right now?
I mean, pretty much for the most part, even water. I would say the biggest. I guess the highlight of my week was like house shopping. Apparently,
Fire.
So I know I said it in a couple of episodes back, and I said this year I might be making like that big purchase that technically is the one that makes you a full adult. So that's started looking around, seeing what Houston has to offer as far as that. A lot of options, but that I would say that was my highlight of the week. Apart from that, just getting things in order, working on the little side hustle that I got going on, and just trying to improve day by day. Honestly,
that's the best way to go about it. And that you have a purpose each day and goals to reach,
right.
like we always talk about. That's very important, and we're going to get into that later as well. But now I'm glad that you're taking the right steps and that you're going in the right direction. It's always gives you something to look forward to and something to
100%.
work towards too as well. And I feel like that's very important. And previously, even in my situation as well, not having that previously kind of made me feel comfortable. And you saw my reaction earlier. We were looking at old videos,
right.
and man, I'm so disgusted in my old self, the old shell of
Right,
me,
yeah.
man. It's like, it's weird because we were talking about, like, in the moment you don't see it, like, you're like, damn, like, it's because you're comfortable and you're okay, and I don't know how to explain it, but just know, guys, things do get better. You know what I mean? And man, I was just like, man, I look so nasty. And in a moment, I'm probably like, I look good, and I didn't look good at all.
Yeah, man.
You feel me? So it's crazy, but like now, I'm happy about it. But yeah. Let's see what's new for me. Basically, honestly, the same. Finally starting to shy away from the liquid diet with the braces. Sorry guys if you got clickbaited and thought your boy got veneers. We don't have veneer money yet. You know what I mean? I don't think I'll ever do veneers, honestly. Not that we're against it. If you guys have veneers, hey, shout out to you
Mm-hmm.
guys. But I'm just like, yet alone, the drill alone on your teeth is already a lot for me. So imagine them
Facts.
shaving your teeth down, just like
Right,
But
right.
but yeah, so I'm starting to eat normal things slowly but surely, and I feel like it's one of those things where it's not that there's pain, but it's more so the fear of breaking a bracket or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
having to walk into the office, the dental orthodontist or whatever office, and with that sadness because you like you feel like you let
You let
your
them
orthodontist
down,
down.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just very tricky. I've just been very careful and just been learning, chewing slowly. And
Mm-hmm.
I finally ate things that I thought that I wasn't gonna be able to eat again.
You got it.
You know, Chipotle and stuff like that. So we're getting back into the groove. But other than
Nah,
that,
that's what's up. That's what's up. I'm
just been
glad.
working a ton and like I said, the gym. And finding ways also to continue to grow as an individual. Always finding, and always knowing that there's room for growth, although you don't see it or know it.
Mm-hmm.
There is room for growth. Like there's always some way, somewhere, something you're lacking or whatever that you could, better. And so we're gonna talk about today, as you guys see in the title, is accountability. Before we get into this, I do want to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys in the comments could let us know, what is accountability to you? What does accountability mean to you, and
Mm-hmm.
what's your definition of it?
For me,
Or how do you interpret
I
it?
would say accountability is like taking ownership of your actions in
Yeah,
the simplest term that I can put it in.
yeah,
Yeah, just that.
yeah. Nah, that's pretty straightforward. I think it's that, and also shout out to Drewski, but standing on business, man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically, um, being about your word, or living up to what you say that you're gonna do,
Right,
or you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'm gonna do this. Live up to it.
right.
Don't just say it and don't do it. And part of this, the biggest way I look at it, bro,
Mm-hmm.
is sometimes people think that things are gonna happen on their own, but you have to start the you know what I'm saying? Like, say for instance, you be like, hey, this year I want to start a business, and you're just sitting there doing everything that doesn't even align to starting that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not gonna start it, it's not gonna start it on its own. You have to find ways to, inch towards that, or find ways to,
Work towards
start the
it. Yeah,
business. You know what I'm saying?
exactly, exactly.
Work towards it. And I feel like that's the thing that a lot of people, struggle with, is setting a goal but not working towards the goal.
Right, right.
And that's where the accountability comes into place, is because you have to hold yourself accountable and hold yourself to a certain standard to get to that point. And if you're not doing so, you're failing not only yourself but your goals as well.
Exactly.
So I feel like the whole thing with accountability is I like to look at it from a growth perspective,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like growth and accountability go hand in hand, because I feel like the fundamental part of growth is accountability.
Right.
I mean, obviously you have discipline incorporated
100%.
in that as well, but I feel like you have to have some sort of accountability to even be disciplined. You can't, be
Mm-hmm.
disciplined with no accountability, in my
Right, right,
opinion.
right. Now I agree with everything you said, man. Especially
Of
like
course you do.
this guy. That, but like you said, in order to be disciplined, you definitely got to be
Hmm.
accountable of yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like discipline, like to me, is just being able to do things repeatedly without any
Hmm.
distractions or anything like that. And in order to do that, you got to be accountable for blocking out distractions, for staying on the course. That way, you can achieve your overall goal.
Yeah, and one of the important things that I was seeing with the accountability thing, and
Hmm.
also it's something that kind of makes sense, is like when you're holding yourself accountable,
Right.
it's kind of like you're supporting yourself in a way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you don't really need that support from. I mean, it's great to have support from others, but like, say for instance, you're alone and you're going through a process alone.
Right.
Supporting yourself and holding yourself accountable is basically supporting yourself. Like, yo, get up out of bed, go do this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like that inner support, inner motivation, and that's what like really determines how successful or how much growth you will have, based on how accountable you know how much accountability you put into your daily routine.
Yeah.
Honestly,
And I feel like when you like when you are the one holding yourself accountable, I mean, you always got to hold yourself accountable. But when you have, it's different when it's just you doing it, holding yourself accountable, pushing yourself. I feel like it's harder versus when you have either somebody or a group of people around you that also hold you accountable to your word. And I definitely commend everybody that goes through a process all by themselves and come out the other side a better person. It's because it's hard. It's hard. I've been through it. You're going through it right now, and I feel when you are able to hold yourself 100% accountable for your action, that really shows your true colors in life and the type of person that you are.
No, facts. And I feel like, but in the team aspect that you were talking about, it's very important because you understand that you not only are letting yourself down, but everybody else down. Clear as day.
Yep.
And it kind of gives you more of a reason to not fail. But I feel like if you're that way with a team, you should definitely be that way
for
with yourself.
Yeah, you know and I agree.
And and that's where I want to talk about accountability. Like the importance of, how can I say this? The importance of when you're alone or you're going through something alone, learning how to prevail or succeed alone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and we talked about that last week in the previous episode, but it's like I feel like it's very important to understand that you can't add any value to anyone else if you can't add value to yourself.
Bars, man. Bars.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
And yeah, that's just one of those things where it's like you have to understand, and this is where how do you say solitary or
solidarity?
I don't know how to say
solidarity.
Exactly. Yeah. Solidarity has its benefits,
right?
And it's where you learn how to value yourself, but also you learn how to, I guess, see. All right, so when you learn how to value yourself, you understand what people have to bring to the table. If that makes sense.
Facts. I agree.
And I feel like the solidarity, it helps you understand those things, because sometimes you're with someone, or you know, friendships, relationships, whatever, you're going through it, and sometimes you just accept the bare minimum because, you know, it's like, for instance, if it's your best friend, you know, it's your best friend, and you're like, okay, like, okay, it's normal for them to be this way. Like, exactly. You know, I'm not expecting anything more. Like, I know you're not gonna, you know, no te va a doblar. Like, you're not gonna switch up on me. Blah, blah, blah. I accept you your way. Relationships, same thing. You know, I have love for you. I understand it. Like, but you have to understand, like, it gets to a point where you have to see some sort of you have to go through these stages to understand, like, this, you know, you have to meet this level in order for me to get to this level. Like, you have to add to me. Like, we can't just stay stuck in the same, you know, in the same situation.
Spot. Yeah, no, I agree.
In the same spot. So that's how you know when people are really good for you, when they're really elevating you or finding ways to, you know, increase your value and also add to your value. And I feel like that's super important. And I'm taking that away from solidarity, or I took it away from solidarity. And it's where, like, I'm learning, like, the things that are very important to me and essential to me, and also things that I need to add value to me. Because you have to understand, bro, when you learn your value and you learn your worth, you learn to not accept the bare minimum, and you learn to, like, hey, you learn to, like, kind of like have some sort of standards, I'd say, in a sense where you don't just go off like, oh, this person, you know, is a great person, or this person looks good. Like, nah, you have to, like, really bring, like, some oomph to the table.
Right. No, like... no. I agree. I agree, man. It's like, man, And I mean, it's hard, like trying to find people that can add, like to your value or like elevate
Especially
you,
nowadays. Yeah.
especially nowadays, man.
Yeah.
Because you know, I don't want to get too deep into that part, but I agree, especially like with like a friend or group, friend group, or you
Yeah.
know, somebody if you're in a relationship, like those people that are around you. That's why I stand by the quote that it's a famous quote. Everybody says it. You know, show me your friends, and I can show you your future. And it's
Hmm.
because of that. Like
Damn.
by by statistics, we are the average of all of our friends. So once
Hmm.
you like going through the process that you are, you know, you're learning your worth, you're learning uh how to add value and how to make yourself valuable. You know, if you hang around other people like that, that puts you at an even better place than, you know, hang with people that don't really add value into your life.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
from the relationship aspect, uh it's I mean, nowadays, man, be honest, it's hard finding people that are gonna or like a partner that's gonna push you, that's gonna make you hold yourself accountable for your
Yeah.
actions. And
Well, yeah.
yeah.
No, no. The biggest thing with that is like you have to be willing to, like we always say, you have to be willing to take criticism, but you also have to be willing
Right.
to take advice from your,
100%.
it could be your significant other or your friend,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, that person that you're close to and that person that you appreciate and are comfortable with. You have to be willing to, or sorry, that you care about. You have to be comfortable in understanding that, hey, this advice may come to me and I may not like it or I may not want to hear it, but
Right.
it's something that could be beneficial. And it's where you hold yourself accountable and you understand. And this is super big, where you're not always going to be right. You're
Fact.
not always going to be right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of taking accountability, is acknowledging and understanding that you're not always right. And you have to understand that there's times where you're going to be wrong. And I seen this quote earlier, I wanted to talk to you about, and it's about this. It was saying accountability is essential to personal growth as well as team growth. How can you improve if you're never wrong? If you don't admit a mistake and take
Mm-hmm.
responsibility for it, you're bound to make the same one again.
Mm-hmm. That.
So responsibility is huge, and accountability. It sounds like a tongue twister, but like taking responsibility, like, okay, hey, I was wrong. That
Right.
shows you're holding yourself accountable.
Right. And it shows
You know what I mean?
maturity too.
Maturity. And man, I recently went through this as well, man. It's like, I ain't gonna lie. So as humans, we have like that thing where we're like, man, like we feel like we're mature. We're
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I'm mature. Like, or hey, I think I'm right. It's like human nature where you
Right.
think you're
Right.
right and you think you're
It's our
mature,
ego.
or you think that exactly, and it's true. And I always been that guy. People are like, hey, you're very mature, this and that, this whatever. So I always like let that get to my head. But recently, I've accepted that I could have been way more mature in certain situations, and it's
Right.
things that help you grow when you accept the reality. You're like, hey, you weren't mature, but you can be mature, and now the way you hold yourself accountable is becoming a mature man now. You know what I mean, and knowing that you
Mm-hmm.
could do it.
Nah, I
So that's
agree.
one of those things
You,
where I feel like responsibility is a key factor in this topic as well.
yeah. 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 No, I agree. And you got to be able to also use your like your past mistakes to grow from. You know, and it comes that I feel like that's when you really start seeing yourself mature. It's when you can
Hmm.
look back and reflect. I'm like, damn, man, I really messed up, right? And then using that,
Yep.
okay, how can I not make that mistake again? And I feel like
Yep.
that goes a
Yep.
long way as well.
Yep. And when you said that, idea just came in my head. It's like the whole diamond in the rough metaphor thing.
Right.
You could basically look at it as like, the diamond in the rough, or say there's a diamond just stuck in
Hmm.
like a, I don't know, the crevice or something, and you're chipping away at it, or whatever. You're making it into the diamond or whatever. It's basically like carving away all of those mistakes. Or you look at it
Right.
as a sculpture,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sculpting it and sculpting it to the way you want it to be. It's basically like,
Exactly.
removing the blemishes and making it how, the potential. So I feel like that's the best way to look at it. Look at your potential and your growth as a sculptor, and
Right.
you're the artist. You know what I'm saying? And you could just sculpt your way, because we're in control of our lives and our destiny. Like, let's be real. You're the one that decide, hey, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. You wake up,
Mm-hmm.
you decide if you're gonna get out of that bed or you're gonna stay in bed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody's gonna get you up if you don't move. You
That's
feel me? So
true.
it's one of those things where that's how you know you're in control of your destiny. You wake up, you go into your car, you start the engine. You're in control of where you're gonna go from there on out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand that it's all about knowing that, and knowing that you control your future and your destiny. And it's all about what you add to that path, and that journey that makes you get closer to that purpose that you have in life, or to that goal that you're admiring and hoping for. A lot of times we don't understand that we're part of our own failures. We're a
Big
huge
part.
factor.
Big part. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If not the biggest. And sometimes we see these things and we don't accept it. And we're like, oh, whenever if it happens to fail, when it fail, I will just accept it. But
Mm-hmm.
not knowing that we could prevent that failure from happening. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Ahead
Mm-hmm.
of time. If you were to tweak this thing, or listen to this friend, listen to that partner, listen to your mom, dad,
Right.
whatever,
Right. Right.
you could have prevented it. You know what I mean? And it's something that, like we mentioned, as humans, we have to put our ego aside, and understand that, although we are part of, although we do control our future and our destiny, and our path, we have to understand that, those little things that come along the way, you have to find a way to apply them correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and be willing to do so.
I agree. I agree 100%. I do have a question for you. Uh
Yes, sir.
how important do you think, we touched up on accountability from friends and significant other, if you happen to have
Hmm.
a significant other. How important you think is them holding you accountable, as well as pushing you to hold yourself even more accountable yourself?
Yeah, well, them holding you accountable shows that they genuinely care.
Hmm.
If your significant other or your friend group or whatever isn't holding you accountable, or isn't telling you things that could better you, or they're not
Right.
trying to give you advice, or they seem careless about, if you mention a goal, like, hey, I want to start this, and they don't really, you don't see them like really, researching or
Hmm.
finding ways to give you advice about
Right.
something.
Right.
Red flag.
True.
Super red flag. Wave it. Wave it. Look at it. Huge. Man, that's a super red flag, and you have to accept it. Like, and another thing we have to understand too, like you brought it up just now with the friends and significant other. Sometimes in life you have to make tough decisions, and you have to understand that, removing yourself in certain situations could, be part of your
Hmm.
journey and part of the process. um Sometimes people, could be temporary, they could be a part of a season, and it's
Right.
like one of those things where like I just mentioned, if that person isn't invested in you as much as you're invested into them, friends and significant other, it's okay to move on from that situation, because you have to put yourself first in these situations, and understand that, you're, like I said 1,000 times already, you're the one that's in control and in the
Right.
driver's seat.
Yeah.
So you can't allow, the bare minimum, and you give 100 and that person gives zero.
No, I
So you
agree.
have to see, I mean, like, it's not just relationships, friendships too. That
Hmm.
person your friends have to be, uh, supportive, and
It's a
if
two-way
they're not
street.
supportive, yeah, but not necessarily supportive, but invested,
Right.
because not every time they're gonna be agreeing with what you're
Hmm.
doing. They may have an opinion that could go against what you want, and
Hmm.
but that shows that they care. You know what I mean? That they're invested in your plan and in your purpose of life. So I feel that's a good thing. But to answer your question, I think that if they're not showing any interest, or they're not holding you accountable or finding ways to give you some sort of advice, I think it's definitely a red flag.
No, I agree with
for
you
sure.
100%.
But then you could blame yourself in an aspect too. It's not necessarily just them because what did you do for them not to feel that way towards you? You know,
Mm,
how did you guys get to that point? You know what I mean? Because
right,
I'm sure
right,
if
right.
you know gave
So
that
it's
person a
like I said,
title,
it's a
like
two-way
to
street.
be your friend or significant other, at one point they were supporting you, and what happened, what changed? You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
what made that change happen?
I agree. I agree 100%. Now I do want to go over
Well, how do
some.
you feel about that though?
I mean, I feel the same way, man. It's a two-way street, you know. If I'm holding you
Yeah,
accountable for something, I expect you to
right.
hold me accountable as well. And I think the biggest key is communication, because sometimes
Yeah,
sometimes as human, we're not great with communicating with one another, and we may not directly tell somebody, we're like, hey, I mean, sometimes you don't necessarily have to be like, hey, I want you to hold me accountable for this. Sometimes you can use be like, hey, I'm doing this. uh and some people will hold, based on what you said, they're like, oh, I gotta hold you accountable for that as well. um but it's a two-way street, accountability comes and goes. If like I said, if you I have to hold you accountable and you have to hold me accountable, for that way we can both grow as a person.
mm. Yeah. I'm trying to think of ways where this shift would even happen. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like how does it even ever get to the point where the person stops, caring,
Right, right,
to
right,
hold you accountable.
right.
That's where I feel like who really would be at fault. I mean, we wouldn't know unless you'd have to understand the situation itself. But I think it's definitely important to um have those people in your corner that are gonna
Hmm.
push you, and understand that they understand what you want in life. That way they know,
Exactly,
how
how
to
to
push you and
support
how to
you.
get you there.
Yeah,
Exactly how to support you.
yeah.
And I think that's important. It's not necessarily just words. How can they support you? And like, for instance, if you want to start a company, right?
Right.
How can they help you? If there's any sort of labor that they can help you with, like, hey, you doing like t-shirts or whatever, if they can come and help you like press, or they can help mock designs. It's like little things. Although you're the brains and everything, how can
Right.
they add to that? You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. And sometimes in that scenario, it doesn't even have to be like physical, right? It could be
Yeah,
emotionally,
yeah.
it could be, simple showcase of
Well,
support.
because what I'm saying is not everybody is gonna be in a social support is
Right.
what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So you have to find other ways, like because you have to understand not everybody is great with just communication and talking,
Hmm.
but they may show or express it another way. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It all depends how you have to understand that person. That we made this a whole freaking
Man.
that's crazy. But we're holding ourselves accountable, I
100%.
guess. That's
100%.
accountable. Now, I think. How do you feel you could hold yourself accountable? To switch this over in the podcast. How do
Ooh,
you hold yourself
okay, okay,
accountable in the
okay. Like within the
podcast?
podcast, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
I
how do you
always
feel you have?
I always have a
Yeah.
deadline when it comes to putting this out. Um, like I feel like, sometimes we go over that deadline. But the accountability comes from showing up every week, right? Being here, being present,
Yeah.
figuring out how we can, I guess, grow the platform. How can we improve it? How can we keep grow the audience as well?
Mm-hmm.
And because if we're not hitting those goals, we ourselves are accountable. I'm accountable for the editing part of it. If the video doesn't get edited the right way, that's on me, right? um and I would say in those ways, I hold myself accountable on like meeting editing deadlines, making sure
Mm-hmm.
I'm making the highest quality edits that I can, and making sure that everything runs smoothly on the back end as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I feel like the biggest one, definitely for me, is like holding ourselves accountable with the the supporters, the people
Right,
that
right.
support us on the podcast each week. Definitely knowing that you have people that are looking forward to the episodes, make you hold yourself accountable, knowing that, hey, although you may not be feeling it, find a way to put out some
Facts. The
some
fire
content out
content.
there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree.
And it's one of those things that, like I told you guys last week, definitely gonna be more consistent and holding
Mm-hmm.
ourselves more accountable. We have to. Sometimes it's always good to reflect and go through certain situations in life. That way, you really understand your purpose, and you guys could benefit from um better versions of ourselves. Let's just
Right.
say,
Nah,
you know what I
I
mean?
agree. I
Yes,
agree.
sir.
I agree. I agree. And yeah, and
Um,
before we call it in, if my mouse works, I do want to shout out. I'm trying to go back to the list because we're bringing up the merch a lot here lately. Depending if this thing wants to cooperate with me. But we got a couple people starting to sign up to the newsletter. We appreciate you guys. We're trying to get this merch out for you guys, but we want to be sure that you guys are going to be, uh, you know, we have enough people
supporting or
interested
consuming. Yeah.
exactly for the merch. So I just want to give a couple people a shout out for taking their time and subscribing to the newsletter.
Newsletter.
So we have Watson. Shout out to you. We got
Hey, what?
we got Justin. Shout out to you as well, my guy. And Saudis.
Justin.
Shout out to you
Hey.
guys. Um,
Okay.
yeah. Shout out to you guys. We're trying to get this merch out as soon as possible. Uh, if you guys don't know, we said a couple weeks back. There will be a link in the description for this video where you guys can join the newsletter. We'll also post it on social media with a preview of the merch. We also have working on a couple of the designs, and yeah, that's all I have to say for merch.
Now, I mean, that's one of the things you held yourself accountable with. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? Although it hasn't dropped yet, but
Hmm.
uh no, but I think it's definitely important though. At the end of the moral of the story, guys, I feel like accountability is something that we have to really live by and understand that, like I told you guys, we're in control of our lives and our destiny. So holding yourself
Hmm.
accountable day in and day out is part of that process and part of the growth, the daily
100%.
growth that will get you closer to that ultimate goal that you may have. So hold yourself accountable, guys, and understand that not every journey, not every process is going to be perfect, but it's all about the growth within and the process of that journey that makes you, or makes the end result that much better, I'd say. So
100%.
definitely, put your head down. If you have to, grind out those, long hours or whatever, just understand that it's temporary and that at the end of the day, you getting closer to something, that's going to be worth it. So I feel like as long as you go to sleep knowing that you accomplished something or you got closer to that goal,
Right.
that's a successful way of holding yourself accountable for that day.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
So yeah, we're gonna wrap this up, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in another week. Oh, before we do finish, shout out to Al Horford.
Oh yes,
The
hello
first
me
Dominican. You're not watching this, but
Yeah.
shout out to Al Horford, man. For, first Dominican to win the NBA
Championship.
finals.
Yep.
The NBA championship. But yeah, guys, if you're here at the end, thank you for all of your support. Thank you. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and add yourself to the long list of the Vibra supporters. We're growing slowly but surely, but definitely shortly. Thanks to all of you guys, and thanks to God. So thank you guys for all of your support week in and week out. If there's anything you want to hear or see from us, make sure you comment something down below, or send us a referral or whatever to our DMs, and we'll be sure to look out, and you can get shouted out on one of the episodes here. So hey, has its little perks.
Yes, sir.
But
yes,
thank
sir.
you guys for all of your support. Make sure you like this video if you haven't liked it. Comment down below how you feel about the whole accountability thing, how you feel about this episode, anything positive that you may have to say. But as always, as we say here at the end, that you know the Be Blessed podcast. Remember to subscribe.
And let's vibe. Peace. Mori Bus. La Maite.